If you're building an AI-powered app, when should you use RAG or when should you put data in the context window? Let's just do a quick summary of what RAG is. RAG is basically a way of drawing in relevant data into your context window so that only relevant data to your user's query is necessary. And you can do that using a number of different services. Pinecone is a very popular one, but basically it's running your user's query. Like if they ask a question about how do I make a Victoria sponge cake, you would have a database running in Pinecone of loads of different recipes. And rather than having to supply all of your recipes into your context window, it will get a reply where it believes that it has a similar meaning to the user's question. So it's not just the keyword search, it's also meaning search. So if there's another name that a Victoria sponge cake goes by, I don't know, then it's going to find the right result. So when should you use RAG and when should you use context window? Well, I think that it has changed over time. Back when I was first getting started with the OpenAI API, we were on GPT 3.5 Turbo, and that seems like a very long time ago. And one of the key limitations there was the context window, which was only 16K tokens. And that simply meant that you couldn't supply that much knowledge into the context window. And also there were some elements of kind of like cost prohibitive aspects to it. Things have moved on a lot since GPT 3.5, and if you look at the more recent ones such as GPT 4.0 and GPT 4.1, which is their kind of flagship at the moment, then you can see that the context windows have got, well, that's about 10 times larger, and that's about another 10 times, so 100 times, that's just shy of 100 times larger. So now you have to weigh up cost versus the complexity of setting up a RAG database. So I would say if it is data, a few pages of data, then I'd just put that in the context window because you can have massive long prompts now and the AI is going to understand them. It's going to process that data each time. I would also say you would put the data in the context window if you knew it was essential every single time. So going back to this hypothetical recipe app, if you always needed instructions on how to turn an oven on, you wouldn't want it to have to retrieve that each time from a RAG database. You would just have that data in your context window as like when the user asks about how to use an oven, you respond with this. In the one-to-one calls that I have with people each week, there's often an assumption that you have to fine-tune a model or that you need a RAG database, when really my first question to them is, well, how much data is going in? Because like I say, if it is just a few pages, I mean, even kind of like now up to 10 pages, if you do the cost calculation, for example, OpenAI has a token calculator. If you just Google OpenAI token calculator, you can put all of your context in there and it will tell you how many tokens, and then you can go to a comparison table like this and you can work out, so each of these is priced per million, how much that is going to cost you per call. And you have to weigh that up with the cost of running a Pinecone database and also the development cost, the time it's going to take for you to set that up. So even if you are using an app which you say like each user's got a large amount of dynamic data that they insert in, such as like a bio about that user, maybe it's in order to personalize a chat experience. Well, if you can limit that bio to say 10,000 characters, 5,000 characters, then you're still keeping the cost down, and most certainly you can fit all of that in to the context window nowadays. So hopefully that gives you some clarity on whether you should use RAG or context window when supplying a knowledge base or additional context to be used with an AI.